In the API leak of Google, you will directly see there is directly a section that they are talking about content effort, and it is a signal for ranking. Don't trust Google that they are smart. It's not a smart algorithm that much as you expect.
Best SEO advice that's actually wrong.
Few guys, actually well-known people, they are saying cannibalization don't matter anymore, and I believe this is bullshit. Cannibalization is a reality, and it's not going to be working that way. He published an enormous amount of content with expired domains or with many different type of domains, and we always ranked. We came to the 60 million clicks amount.
Welcome back to the Agency Insider Show. I'm Navneet Kaushal, and today we have an episode that's been month in making. Our guest has been called the most important SEO theoretician since Bill Slawski. He's the mind behind Topical Authority, a framework that's changed how thousands of websites approach content strategy. He has managed over 4,000 websites in PBN, lost 3,000 in a single Google update, and emerged to build one of the most respected SEO consultancies in the world. From Istanbul, with offices in New York City, please welcome the CEO of Holistic SEO and Digital, Koray Tugberk Gubur. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for your kind introduction, and it's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for also inviting me as well.
Yeah. So before we dive deep into the deep end, I have to ask, when you are not decoding Google patents or building semantic content networks, what does a normal Tuesday look like to you?
I can actually show a few things. For instance, let me just show you like that. My dog is actually inside that cabin, and sometimes I play with him, and sometimes I just actually, I have a kind of gym at the home right now. I just do some workout, and I sometimes reading some books, and that's it actually. I'm a kind of people around me, they usually call me like a soldier. I don't have that much fun stuff, to be honest. Like, I just, either I work, I lift weights, spend time with actually my dogs, cats, and of course my wife. And then again, I start working.
Okay. As someone who's spoken on the stages from Vietnam to Dubai to Bulgaria, what's the most surprising thing you have learned about global SEO community that people outside it wouldn't expect?
I believe the thing that actually this, in terms of the SEO stage speakership, there are, I believe, three main things that people should be recognizing. One of them is that when you do speeches from Vietnam to do Estonia or to the UK or everywhere on the world, you realize that actually SEO communities around the world are very different. For instance, in Vietnam or in Chiang Mai, people actually are a little bit like, say, more like, let's say, quick wins. And also they love black hat SEO type of things very much more. When you go to the Estonia, UK, or Hungary, or Italy, or other regions, you realize that they are more like actually more corporate and more enterprise focus, for instance. That's why you need to change actually your tone or your aspect or your communication style from a region to another. And another, the second thing there, I believe, is that since English is not actually our native language, at the same time, you might need to actually take it into the also consideration when you do these speakerships as well, because from Vietnam to Thailand or to the Hungary or other regions, since I am doing two actually fast talks usually in my style too, you need to calculate that part too, because the local audience, they might not that be great. When I do a speech, for instance, in Poland, there is usually a translator. And during my speech one time, I was looking at the translator cabin, and they were sweating because since I talked too fast, they were like, blah, 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 blah. And they were two translators at the same time, one male and one female, and they both were looking each other. So that also should be calculated. I believe the third thing there will be also, not every community is ready for everything too. You should also understand that. So that's why sometimes you might need to do entry-level talks, and sometimes you might need to do a very deep-level talks. You need to understand the audience before actually going there. If I will be adding one more thing, I believe that's my whole honest opinion, but I actually never wanted to do stage talks as well. But I felt like it's a kind of duty to explain and show these case studies to help people. I believe the speakership in the SEO industry might be exaggerated a little bit. Like, just because you're on a stage, it doesn't mean that actually you should be seen as an authority of subject. At least that's my humble opinion. But other people might be thinking different. But I went over the stage maybe over, I don't know, 20 times or 25. And I always wanted to be tested by the audience, actually. That's why I always give all the case studies, website names, or the testimonials, or Search Console, or everything nakedly. So actually they can also audit my work and my stuff in that area too. That's it.
I agree. But most of the time when people are put on the stage, the audience also think they have an authority. So it goes both ways, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true. And also, that's why I usually like actual panels more, I can say. Because, for instance, in our mastermind in Turkey, when we do a panel, it was fun, actually. James, actually, was trying to do that. He's a kind of naughty person, in my opinion, because he was trying to make the panelists to fight with each other. Like, he was always asking a question, so you agree with it, and then he says that, why don't you actually agree with him? Just explain that. Or he always tries to find the honest way of actually doing these discussions. And I actually like that more too, having that critical mind in a respectful and friendly way too. Just because we think different, it doesn't make us a group of different universe. It's just basically we have different experiences and perspectives, and we should be able to be on the same stage and hang out friendly and also tell opposite things as well. And this was the thing that we try to achieve in our mastermind as well.
Yeah, so I remember I did a similar thing while I was doing a Maze conference in India in Chandigarh. So we had a SEO audit where we invited top SEOs of the country and we gave them websites at random to audit on the screens. And it went very well because of this reason, that they were not trying to be expert, but they were like, people were trying to learn things, that how to do an audit and all those flow. And that was a very quite learning experience for everyone.
I believe so too, because when I look at the SEO world, many events are very prestigious, but when you buy a flight ticket, go there, just get in the hotel, then go to the venue center, and then you see somebody who is doing just marketing on the stage, and then I will question why I came actually 12 hours of flight to a guy's actual, let's say, the new tool launch. It doesn't make sense to me. So that's why, out of respect to the audience, usually I try to show directly testable things, proven things with the documentation. So actually they can think that, okay, I came here from 17 hours of flight, but it is worth it. That's usually a kind of pressure that every speaker also should be feeling as a responsibility.
Right. Now, you have done extensive interviews and talks, but I want to acknowledge something upfront. The SEO discourse around you has evolved. For example, in 2023, people were asking, is topical authority real? Now in 2026, they are asking, how do I implement it at scale? So now, how has this shift in the conversation changed what you focus on teaching?
I believe it was a very, let's say, a different journey, because when I launched my first case studies, even people claimed that I was using PBNs, because they didn't believe that actually without the links, a website could rank just with the semantics. And I don't blame them, but we didn't use PBN or anything for ranking these websites. And then I remember that actually the first people rejected the idea, especially link building agencies. They were lynching me because they couldn't sell more links because of semantics were becoming trendy. And to make a peace with them and also to help them as well, whenever I go onto stage, I explicitly say as the first thing that I also buy links, and do a discount to me, I am happy to buy. So that actually they can also understand that I am not against that. I just say that if you implement semantics properly, you might need fewer links. That's the main motto, basically. And when we published these things first, it was a kind of shocking thing. I remember that actually there was a friendly person today for us. He was saying that this thing will be forgotten in 7 days. Don't spend your time. And now he has a business for just selling topical maps, even after actually 5 years. And back then, basically, it was a little bit more controversy. And there were 2 different camps, link builders and the semantic lovers. And they were just fighting with each other. And I was at the middle, like, don't fight, both of them work, just do holistic SEO. And I believe through the years, we understood each other better. And today, actually, after especially Google's API leak, since there were there also topic authority module directly was there, actually, inside the Google's API leak. And then they have seen page embedding, site focus score, and also topicality score type of things. They were also there too. And also then Google's DOG leak files came. And there too, basically, Pandumaiak explained basically topical authority together with PageRank and the click data, how they were using that. And then I believe after that, people accepted it. I believe today it's not a discussion anymore whether it is real or not. And I believe it was. I mean, if there is a kind of one day, if a guy who, or basically somebody writes history of search engine optimization, I believe with the concept of topical authority and with these case studies, I believe we created a kind of historical journey there, because it's in 3 or 4 years, it was a really good actual transformation and transition as well in terms of SEO mindset. And I'm proud to be actually part of it while publishing these case studies, building a community and creating a framework for it. And then Google also comes where you were before. And I believe today, yeah, people mainly focus on actually learning it, implementing it, rather than questioning it or finding alternatives to that.
Okay. Now, let's move into our real segment, which is the business of semantic SEO.
Okay.
Now, I mean, most of the interviews or SEO talks avoid entirely, and which is the business. You are famously never had a contact form or done traditional marketing. Your clients find you through reputation, but you are running an operation with 30 plus employees serving Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah.
Now, you have said you have no pitch decks, no contact forms, client simply finds you. So can you walk me through the economics of this? What's your client acquisition cost effectively become? And how long did it take for the reputation flywheel to generate enough inbound to sustain a 30-person agency?
Thank you. So the first thing that actually here I want to say is that when it comes to the agency building, agency management, agency automation, or agency scaling, I believe Matt Singers and James Tooley know way much more than I do personally. That's my honest opinion. Because what I did in terms of business-wise, I will call it a little bit accident, to be honest. That's my honest and directly, transparently I'm saying it, as always. Because when I actually lost all these PBNs in the black hat market, and then I actually went even to the army and came back, and then I started from the white hat. And during that time, I just realized one thing in a honest way. Black hat markets back then, I believe they were very much more knowledgeable. And they knew way much more things than actually these white hat or corporate agencies know. When I realized that, I was shocked, to be honest, because these guys were working with Mercedes, Samsung, Huawei, and they know nothing compared to a guy who actually just manages PBNs for different type of markets. When I saw that, it fueled me. It fueled me actually for writing the case studies, publishing them, and teaching people really what they should be knowing and what they should be doing. When I write the case studies, my purpose wasn't even building a brand or reputation or whatever. To be honest, I even learned what a personal brand is years after then I became a brand. Because when you become a brand, nobody says you that, hey, Koray, you are a brand now. Nobody says that you don't get a plaque or you don't get a mail for it. When you become a brand, you start to realize it first when people's reactions are changing to you. I learned it from the hard way because, for instance, let's say you are on the street in the Chiang Mai, or whenever I go to a conference, sometimes in Chiang Mai, it always happens, in Saigon too, because you eventually see an SEO. Let's say you walk together like this and he smiles at you and you don't realize it because you think about something. The person here understands it like, fuck you, just because you didn't smile. And then if you smile, it becomes, I love you. So you realize that when you become a brand, your every reaction and your every word becomes like multiplied. It's like hitting different level. That's one of the reasons that I never, for instance, after I understand that, I never engage with negativity anymore. Because when I say something to someone in any way, good or bad, it becomes a kind of different frequency. So when you, for instance, about brandship, that will be my first suggestion to anybody who tries to build a brand. When it comes to the business side, when I started to publish these case studies, people started to read that, ask questions. And then one day, actually, with our dear friend, Matt Diggy, we did a famous interview, and it also started to start this revolution, basically, in SEO. But I didn't calculate any of these things. I just actually kept sharing information. I didn't launch my course because I wanted to. People demanded it. I didn't even have that thought in my brain before. And the agents the same way. We got some demand. Then we did work for them. We published new case studies. Then more demand came. More case studies published and more demand came. But I never published even case studies for more demand either. My purpose was always actually explaining it or proving the point, basically. That's why I can tell that actually this 2025 was the best year for business for me, because I never went to any conference. I never go to the conferences for SEO leads or something, because as an SEO, why shall I go to an SEO conference for leads? It doesn't make sense. Clients can't be SEOs anyway. So I usually go there actually for proving a point or seeing friends, basically. And this year, I just wanted to focus on the business. In 2025, I believe I visited only one conference because I said yes in 2024. So as a suggestion, I believe being genuine and really doing the work and really understanding the work and explaining the work in a honest way possibly would be the best thing. Because when somebody mails me, if I have time, even if the person, let's say, doesn't have any money, or even if the person doesn't have any prominence, I still answer them. For instance, I won't give the name since I didn't have the permission, but this is a very good person that I like. He is actually from Mauritius, an island from Africa, or the middle of the ocean somewhere, basically a small island.
I've been there.
Okay. So he mailed me one day, and basically it was clear that actually he needed help, and I had time, and I have written 19 suggestions. He implemented it, and he got the results. Then he visited me in Istanbul for actually saying thank you, and he became part of our community. It wasn't something I did for money or something. I just saw that there is an opportunity that I can provide as an help, and I provided it. And then he also became part of my brand in some way too. So when you help people, they find a way of helping you back. I believe it's about personality, not about strategy or these type of things. I don't have any type of that planning mindset, I can say. I just act as naturally.
Yeah, I myself maybe now realize that it makes more sense to be a giver rather than a taker. So the more I give, the more come back. So I started believing in the power of this universe, where the more you give, the power of abundance, which I call.
100%. And also, the thing is that when I have time, I again work, because I love SEO and working as well. So when I open my mail, if I see that there actually somebody asks an opinion, I do that. For instance, until now in our community, we publish over 400 success stories publicly. People create a case study, they tag me, and I share their actual success just for them. And I never have this type of thought. For instance, if I share this person, what happens if he gets the leads? I don't see it as a negative thing. I see it as a positive thing. I want him to get the leads. And that's why I keep sharing everybody from my community. I believe when I came first into the white hat industries, this was the opposite. They were trying to keep each other in the shadows. Like, I won't be citing him, or I won't be sharing his success, or I won't be congratulating his success. I try to show the opposite as much as possible by sharing their success, and also by making them share each other's success as well. When you don't compete, and when you actually just congratulate others in a honest way, it makes everybody happier, and you grow the industry in a faster way as well. And I believe we have proven it as within our community already in a really good way.
And I believe it's so much business out there. I mean, it's impossible for just one person or one agency to do everything. So that's for everybody to take, right?
Definitely.
Right. Now when a Fortune 500 company approaches holistic SEO, what does their RFP process typically misunderstands about semantic SEO? And what questions do they ask that reveals they are still thinking in an outdated paradigm?
So the thing is that, in my humble opinion, again, I can tell that these Fortune 500 companies, people usually actually assume that these companies have the best of best managers. Not at all. It's the opposite. If you actually work with a startup, let's say there is a new startup or medium-sized SaaS or medium-sized e-com, I can tell that their managers and their employees, in my opinion and experience, they are way much better than a Fortune 500 or 100 or whatever type of global companies. Whenever I work with a global company, except a few of them, I believe give these names since they are very, let's say, very good SEO team. I can praise them as much as I can. The team of Hosting Air or the team of NordVPN, they are great teams, for instance. They are very solid, very sharp, and very, let's say, ready to go. Other ones that I won't be naming, they are also good too. But I can tell that they are so busy with the corporate stuff. And it's not under their control either. The companies are so huge. They are so big. Whether it is actually, this is beyond to SEO, whether it is Autodesk or whether it is Spotify, or whatever it is, they are so busy with their own counter like bureaucratic works. Even changing a simple thing on the homepage takes maybe 2 months. I remember one instance that actually after 196 days, a developer mailed me and said that this task is done. And I even forgot the task. What are you talking about? Like, what was the task? Because more than 6 months we waited for this. So maybe 2 core updates passed. So they are able to do these things very, very slowly. So when you create a strategy for them, it should be very friendly. That's why usually I prefer to reach out to the either CMO or either CEO or either CFO. But you should be working with one of these C's. If you have 1 or 2 C people from the company, you can make the process way faster and way better. And when it comes to their outdated thoughts, I believe many things. I mean, they care about these SEMrush and Ahrefs type of metrics like DR or DA, or they still use these metrics. Like they sometimes say, for instance, we increase our DR more than they. For instance, why it doesn't show the ranking difference? Because just a third-party tool with a made-up metric, it doesn't matter for anything. And when you see these things, at least at the beginning, I was being shocked, but then I got that culture. I understand where they are coming from. And now I understand why they are thinking in that way. That's why I believe the most important thing in these big companies is training. You have to train them like around 2-3 months with these patterns, with these ranking algorithms, by explaining the processes. And then they actually really start to function in a really good routine way, I can say. Due to the NDAs, I'm not able to give many names there, but I believe the corporate work will be the hardest thing there for you. You will need to be having really long meetings for really small things. And you have to have really steel-like patience for everything. And I believe SEOs, it will be very helpful for them to learn this corporate culture and corporate communication as well.
Okay. Now enterprise clients typically wants predictability. As you said, they keep on looking at HRFS or SEMrush. They want monthly reports, guaranteed deliverables, SLAs. Now, semantic SEO is more experimental and iterative. Now, how do you structure contracts and expectations with large organizations that are used to traditional agency relationships?
Most of the time when we do a contract with them, we try to actually, first in the discovery call, we show them all the project folders and the results that we get. After showing the project folders, we also put these folders into the contract by saying that, for instance, if we publish these and these semantic content networks before these months, and if you are able to, let's say, decrease your response time, or let's say fix these issues, you can see between this and these type of increases. And with these definitive KPIs, they are able to actually keep up with it. Because when especially you tell them, at least in our case, we say them, let's say in April, in the first half of the April, there will be a core update. And we expect it to affect your industry because of the past examination. Then actually we do all the preparation to be ready for that core update before that date. When you place the core updates, let's say estimations for the year, and when you give them the KPIs for every one of these segments, they start to get it in a very much more, let's say, concrete way, and they get it in an actual measurable way as well. And for instance, right now we are working with a very good online dating company, global one of the global ones. And in that area, let's say we published some topical maps and semantic content networks for senior dating or getting to know dating advice, or gay dating, or Christian dating, etc. And whenever we publish, we see certain type of improvements in a repeatable way. When they see these improvements, they actually want to go faster from there as well. And when you should be naming these practices as well, because we don't tell things like, if you publish 40 articles, it's not about number of that. It's about completing that topic and covering everything from there. And once you do it in a repeatable way, they start to actually act way much faster to complete that specific topical map, because you also visualize. I call it in a way IKEA effect, because in IKEA, you built your garderobe or your furniture and you still feel happy. And there too, they see a topical map that needs to be turned into a semantic content network. And whenever it is being completed, rankings are increasing. And when they see that completion percentages are correlated with the rankings, they get actually more acceleration from there. If you're able to create that IKEA effect, they start to actually implement things in a way faster way. And sometimes for predictability as well, if you're able to diagnose some issues on their website from the past updates, you can actually predict the future better, and also you can prove it better too. Let's say you have 6 different dates for spam updates, link spam, content spam. Just show them how their rankings, percentages are changing for the 7 days after these updates. When you show them these in a comparable way with their competitors, they get an analytical mind with percentages, with numbers, and from there it gets way easier, actually, I can say.
Okay. Now, your Topical Authority course reportedly generated over $1 million. Now, so that's unusual in an SEO education. What did you learn about packaging complex intellectual property for sale that other expert practitioners gets wrong?
I believe, again, in a transparent way. So I created that course in 2 years, and people waited like 2 years, and while waiting, they became 8,000 in the waitlist. And during that time too, I kept actually publishing case studies, and I believe people understand that I am honest, because I could publish that course even 2 years earlier, and still I would be making money, but I didn't. I tried to do really a good course that actually they can understand that. That was very much more important than the money, whatever money will be coming.
Right.
And during that time, I got like 8 beta testers with me. I created the course multiple times from zero. It was really hard because every 8 beta tester here, they were from a different group or demographics. One of them was Italian American, one of them was Indian, one of them Romanian, and they were different from the different parts of the world, and they are working in different industries as well. Right. And then whenever they watched these lectures, I met with them and I told them, what do you think about this lecture, this lecture, this lecture, and this lecture? I waited until all of them give me the approval. And I tried to actually make it understandable as much as possible for all these 8 different backgrounds in a repeatable and implementable way. Until that moment, I didn't launch that. I believe this will be one of the key improvement points there. And even that, actually, I can tell, even that, because when you publish the course, it's still good enough. After that, you also need to build the community that people start learning together. Because I said it in the beginning of the course, please watch this course at least 2 times. One, if you think that you understood it in the first time, it means you didn't. You should watch it actually at least 2 times until you understand that. And when they do that also, I created the cohorts, which means we created cohorts for automation, for social media or local SEO or technical SEO. And people from different countries, they came together and they also meet every week. Still they do this. And whenever they meet in these cohorts, they actually talk about the lectures, and they actually tell their opinions, and they take notes, and they implement and come back with their results. And again, they keep learning. So I believe in the SEO industry, these 2 are not done before. I believe they didn't do 2 years of beta testing for their courses. I believe they didn't create a cohort system in their actual communities as well. And if I would be adding one more thing, I didn't do any marketing in that course, actually. I believe that was the main trick for the people. I didn't try to sell it. If I will try to sell it, I wouldn't wait 2 years. And also for many people who didn't have money, I gifted the course maybe over 150 people around the world. Just because they don't have enough level of money, we gave them scholarship by seeing that actually their results and by checking their financials. We decided that, okay, this person deserves that course, even if the person doesn't have money, and we gave the course to them, and they became even better members in the community by providing help others too. I believe this process helped because we have 0 affiliate for this course, 0 ads, 0 marketing. It's just pure SEO, pure community work, actually, I can say. Nothing magical, again. It's just hard work with patience.
Right. I would agree with you. I only know hardly a couple of courses which actually built like a community. One of them, while talking to, I remember, is Authority Hacker. They really had a good community thing, which of course they shut down, but that was the one only I could recall on the top of my head, which actually continued doing a community thing as well.
Definitely. It really brings people together. And then actually That's why we do these mastermind or also mini conferences in Kuşadası, Turkey as well, to bring them also physically together. Because to be honest, I also need that, because I don't go to the conferences that much anymore unless I see a value there. But when they come to the Kuşadası, we just spend 1 week together. I can tell it's the best week of the year for me, always.
Okay, how many of these have you done now?
We did 2 conferences until now in Kuşadası, and the first one was actually just with 40 people. Second one was like 65. But it's a kind of invite-only event. We try to keep the business level especially high there as much as possible. And I don't know how many people will be this year, probably 65 or 70 again. And we basically just invite some of the members. Some of them always come. And then we basically come together. And it's not just actually business talk or SEO too, because we do a mastermind in the cabanas, in the sea, basically. After the mastermind, we go to the jet skis, or we go to the pool, or we basically do massages, or eat good food. And then in the nighttime, again, we do another Q&A, for instance. Sometimes we do touristic visits, or we do water fights, or parasailing. And again, we do SEO talk as well. So it's a kind of very intense 1 week for SEO learning, SEO sharing, and beyond SEO too, for business management as well. And also for fun stuff too, because this year, for instance, we even did scuba diving, horse riding, or ATV safari, or many different things actually we fit in one event.
Okay. Now your agency slogan is think like SEO, code like developers.
Yeah.
Now, how does having development capabilities in-house change the economics of delivering semantic SEO compared to agencies that rely on client devs team or external contractors?
I believe the best thing there is, when you're able to actually know coding, the best thing is you can communicate a developer like a developer, not like an SEO. You have to calculate the logistics. Whenever you give a decision, a developer spends his own time and his own energy. So when you make a request, it shouldn't be like, it's necessary to do it. You should be explaining why it should be done, why it is necessary. And also, not just that, you should be telling that if you need any coding help, we can help you. We can give you the code externally, and you can modify it, and you can integrate it to your own code base if you want to. When you offer your own help, and when you also explain everything, there is no way that they will be saying no. They actually, they become happy, and they start empathy with you. That's the first advantage. The second side is that for web development, web design, you can create a second smaller invoice that helps for actually economics of the agency and also economics of the client as well. Because if you don't provide that in-house development services or design services from your end, client either is going to need to be actually having more developers just for SEO work, which will be more costly for them. And then you will need to train that developer from zero. But if you have your own developers who already knows what to do for WordPress, Shopify, Magento type of sites, or custom-made Next.js websites, if they already know what to do, they directly do. They don't lose any time, and everything goes actually way faster from your side as well. That's why learning development and also helping your own developers to implement this in a very quick way will be a good agency accelerator for your own agency. And today, I believe with the Cloud Code or Replit or different type of AI coding capabilities, you can create some, let's say, list of code bases or code projects for different CMSs for different problems. And I believe you can solve them way faster as well. It really helps, especially with Cloud Code, since it is coding in your local machine by modifying your local files directly. You can do way much more than before too. So I still suggest learning it, of course. Don't rely on solely AI, but you should be also leveraging some help from your own developers and also from some of the AI capabilities as well.
Okay. Let's move to our next segment, which is business challenges. So now, what's the most expensive mistake you have made as an agency owner? Not an SEO mistake, but a business decision that cost real money, and what did it teach you?
I believe the main thing is that when you build your agency first, for instance, as I said for brandhood, when you become a brand, you don't realize you become a brand. The same thing also happens for being a boss. When you become a boss, you actually think that because when you are an employee, you also work very hard. And usually these type of people, when they become a boss or owner of a company, they work the same way. And they expect the same thing from their own employees as well. And I believe it's a mistake. You shouldn't wait your own employees to work like you do. It's not going to be happening on this planet, never. Even if you did it when you're an employee, it's just you. And that's why you are able to own your own company today, because you were working really hard. Majority of the people are not like that. They don't find peace or happiness in the work, unfortunately. They find that peace or happiness in their own personal life or in their own personal time. So they usually work for money, not for success or not for career or these type of things. They might be important for you because you're an industrious person and you really like to be in the work, but they are not. So you should be understanding this differentiation first. You shouldn't be expecting them to be you. Do not try to replicate yourself by teaching everything or expecting everything. I believe that will be one of the things, because when you become a boss or company owner, you don't realize that how the communication perspective is changing, because now people don't see you as just a friend like before. You become the boss right now, and it's a different frequency. You should be understanding before. And try to be quicker when it comes to the firing. Try to not actually change the same person over and over and over again. Try to fire in a very structuring way, which means find another job for the person, for instance. Suggest another position in another company. Do not just actually fire them in a, let's say, with lack of empathy. Try to explain the situation in a very friendly way, and then find another business place from your friends or somewhere for their own skills or the abilities. If you do it in that way, you still keep creating actually friends, and you try to actually create the best structure for your own company and also for another company with that specific person as well. This way you can actually have way much more help for yourself too. This would be one more suggestion. And the other part is, I believe you should understand this too. If you have a company that you manage personally, you should accept that you won't have that much of a free time, and it's normal, because you are the center of everything there. And I believe Matt Singers, again, would be a great source of knowledge here. He always, for instance, says that actually, if you are always busy with your own company, it means you have a very high paying job, not a business. Your business always should be built for selling. Even if you don't want to sell it, you should still build it for selling, which means even if you become sick, or even if you are dead today, the company still should be able to sustain itself with its own management. So try to aim this purpose always. If I am not around, who answers the mails? Or if I'm not around, who manages these meetings, these mails, or these tasks, or these, etc. If you're able to create this self-managing machine by itself, it means actually you are in the right track. But if whenever you actually have a, let's say, health issue, or whenever you feel tired, if company is also slowing down, it means actually you are managing it wrong. I believe these three will be good enough suggestions for people.
Okay. Now you have served companies across retail, SaaS, finance, cryptocurrency, and gambling. Which industry vertical has the highest ROI for SEO, semantic SEO implementation, and which has been surprisingly disappointing?
I believe the best one will be CBD, iGaming, and sports betting, along with also cryptocurrencies. These actually are really returning good money, even if you are not around for a while, because even if you send one VIP player, whenever he plays, you keep making money. So even if you lose the website, you still have the players with your affiliate deal there. So that's why these are really good ones. In terms of the disappointment, maybe some products might be wrong, and they might be very specific industries. For instance, growing lights. It's actually for growing internal plants, in-house plants, and people sometimes use certain lights to grow the plants.
Right.
Obviously, it's not that lucrative, I can say. Surprisingly good one, again, coffee is really good. It's surprising to me. But when it comes to the machines about the coffee, like coffee machines, not that much. Coffee itself is good, but the machine of the coffee, not that much. So electric scooters, for instance, not that much. I mean, even if you rank, it doesn't make that much. At least for the between 2000 until 2024, it was like that. But since these electric vehicles are now becoming more popular, maybe it might be different, I can say. And that's it, actually. I believe if you have a really good capacity of creating content in a good way, I will suggest you to go B2B. There might be really surprising deals that you can find there. Let's say wind turbines or these electric mills, basically, that generates electric. Or let's say some certain type of B2B cargo or logistic industries. They are really good, for instance. For example, let's say there are some certain certificates that companies should be taking in Nigeria if they want to actually move products around the world. You can actually rank for these type of very specific B2B industries, and you can really make money from them as well. Even if you have like 3-4 partners. If I can tell one industry, it will be good. Like electrostatic powder paint. It's a very specific industrial type of paint. And not many people know it, but it is actually existing everywhere. Even in my background, that paint is actually existing. And you can rank for it, and you can provide actual sales for everywhere, basically, with your exact match domains or with your partial match domains. You can find really good deals in these type of specific niches.
And for when it comes to semantic SEO, which industry do you think is very good when you have to do semantic SEO? Which industry you see great success with?
All of them works with the semantics, but if you just want to implement only the semantics, anything with B2B would be great, because there is not that much search demand there. And if you cover that small, because if search demand is not that high, it means number of topics that you should be processing is not that high either. You can actually create small topical mess with small semantic content networks, and still you can actually rank for it in a very good way too. And also for anything that I mentioned there, for cryptocurrency, iGaming, sports betting, CBD, I believe these are all great actually for semantics. Again, in sports betting, you have so much players, so many teams, team stats, team versuses, team standings, team fixture, picks, odds, or injury reports. There are lots of attributes and the entities that you can keep always actually publishing content and get attraction for news discover and the regular SERP as well. So semantics there actually works in a really good way.
Okay. Now, when you lose a client, and of course every agency loses client, what's the most common reason? Is it typically a failure of results, communication, or something else entirely?
I believe it can be the opposite. When you actually rank the website, they might also think that, okay, SEO is not needed anymore, website ranks, and again, they stop. So when you lose a client, you should understand that it is a business decision rather than SEO. For instance, just last month, actually, we, for instance, paused the project because the owner of the project technically is having a divorce, and the wife asks for half of the money, and it creates financial problems. So it's not always about actually what you do. Their personal life or thought of many other people or everything that is actually effective. For instance, for one of these 500 companies, 500 virtual companies, one of them, for instance, we ranked the company very good. We published a case study. We didn't name it due to the NDA, but it's still in our YouTube channel too. There actually they thought that, okay, stock prices reach out to the specific level. Traffic already is really high. I believe we can stop the SEO, they thought. And I believe 1.5 years later, they are hit by 2 different core updates and they came back, for instance. So it's like a bit being doctor. You don't listen to your doctor when you're healthy. You listen to the doctor only if you have a health problem. And you listen to the doctor until you are treated, which means, let's say you are saving yourself from cancer. You don't listen to the doctor again. You just start smoking or doing many other bad things again. I believe SEO has a very similarity there. If they have a problem, they listen to you. And if you solve the problem, they remove that pressure and they start doing some, again, silly things. So it's not only about actually you fail. It might be happening more frequently, actually, if you are successful. At least in our case, these were some of the examples there. For the, let's say you couldn't rank the site as it should be. Usually it happens if there is not a core update. Day 2, for instance, when there is a core update, website starts ranking higher, and again, they come back, for instance, by understanding the results there too. So I believe if you tell this in a honest way in the beginning, by saying that if there is not a core update, for instance, you might not see a skyrocketing traffic. Core updates are needed there. They know what to expect from there as well. So usually these type of things, basically, I can say.
Okay. Now, Now let's talk about AI agents and the orchestra concept. Now at SEO Vibes Dubai in 2024, you announced something called SEO GPTs
Yep,
and the concept of orchestrating agents in the age of AI empire. So let's
that's right.
unpack it.
Yeah,
Now, you have talked about website printing with AI, generating content at scale, but you also warned against publishing 500, 600 articles daily. So, where exactly is the line between strategic AI content deployment and what you consider reckless automation?
that's a great question. I will give actually a website name example. People should be watching it. For instance, or let me check it.
Okay.
ortai.com. I will send it to the chat. You can also share it with the people if you want to. The
Yeah,
company,
please.
for instance, this is a good example for this. In my opinion, this website, if they don't keep publishing more though, if they stop publishing, after a while, in my experience, it is usually 40, 60 days, the website here is going to be hit. Because in 2020, 21, and 22, we had actually WordTune API, thanks to some Israeli connections. And we published an enormous amount of content with expired domains or with many different type of domains. And we always ranked. We came to the 60 million clicks amount. Eventually, with multiple times, by the way. But eventually, Google finds you, and they hit your site, and they decrease the traffic in a very good way. Then we've started to do some different tests. For instance, if an expired domain has too many 404s, it doesn't pick it up. Or if it has, let's say, if it lost its traffic for a really long time ago, again, it doesn't pick it up. If the topic is very irrelevant, it doesn't pick it up. Then we also understood that if you publish first human-created content until we come to a certain level, wait a couple of months, then publish the AI content, it ranks way much better. And this website that I sent you is also like that. They actually have a kind of certain level of brandhood and certain level of historical data with the clicks. And then they published they published over 1.2 million of pages. I believe SEMrush API has been used there. And they write very simple content. And thanks to the momentum, it ranks because Google doesn't have enough time to check the content there. Right. And usually AI-generated websites, these type of sites, technically they are failing because if you check the data of this site, you will see 1.2 million pages, but only 50,000 of them are getting traffic, which means over 95% of the site is not getting traffic. But that 5%, even if it gets, let's say, 50 clicks per page, it actually becomes a major number there.
Right.
Because we have too many pages there. You can see the same thing from Grokopedia as well. Grokopedia, last time when I checked, I guess it has like maybe 4 million pages or something, but only a small portion of them gets the clicks. But even that small portion is so big, it becomes enough number for them to prove that actually they are ranking well. And so overall rankability is lower, but even if it's lower, a small portion of the site, since it is too much, it gets really good number of clicks in total. When it comes to this publication mindset, I suggest people to stay in the human range. Do not try to publish like, let's say, 40,000 documents in 1 week. Try to stay actually in your human range so that actually Google can understand that you are covering that topic by putting human effort in that. In the API leak of Google, you will directly see there is directly a section that they are talking about content effort, and it is a signal for ranking. If you go to the Google's quality rater guidelines, they talk about their total human effort, either for designing or for writing. If you go to their announcements for perspectives, or if you go to their 8 December 2025 social media related announcement, they always focus on people for people in the search. And that's why I believe with the last core update, all URLs are ranking better. If you go to the facebook.com and check their rankings, some URLs from Facebook is from 2019, 2022, and now recently with the latest core update, they started to rank higher. Because I believe Google, by using Reddit content, they are training their language model in a very sensitive way to get real, clean human dialogues. And since these older Facebook media posts or social media posts, since they are actually using that type of a language, they have a higher chance of actually getting a higher language score as well. The GPTs that I created, though, they were and they are not actually for generating content. They are mainly for analyzing the content, analyzing the site, and accelerating the process of creation of the content, but it doesn't rely on AI fully. For instance, one of them is just about generating or extracting facts based on importance. One of them is about finding actually most contextual predicates to use in the content. One of them is about extracting triples and assigning prominence score for the triples and using certain nouns or connections for that triples. There are many different angles in that GPTs that we usually use for training and also implementation in the projects. For the publication frequency too, momentum, yes, it helps you to rank higher, but Google hits the website later. That's why it doesn't matter if you publish too many things there. For instance, if you go to some unscramble websites or Scrabble word game type of sites, I won't be able to give the website name out of respect to our partner. But there too, for instance, if a website has been already established with good amount of page rank, historical click data, and good amount of coverage, it means that website is already safe and over a threshold. But if you publish a new project with a new subfolder or something, you should be very much more careful because you are coming that threshold from zero. If they see that actually you are using content scale abuse as they define in their spam policies, they will get these rankings back. And you can watch this website as a live example for the next 2 months, and we can all see how it goes.
Okay. Now, so if an agent can create a topical map, of course, some agents can generate content, optimize semantic structures, and build internal links. What remains exclusively human in your workflow, and what tasks have you tried to automate and failed?
I can tell actually, this is something that always SaaS owners come to me for promoting their tools. And I always tell them that I am not promoting any tool or anything, but I can tell that if you want to create a really good topical map, when you especially watch the course and try to do these things, you will see that it's not that much automatable. You can create maybe a raw topical map. Raw and processed topical maps, they are two different things. Raw topical map just gives you entities and the attributes. But how you will be shaping your macro context or specifically your H1s and the context of the page, it should be most of the time should be coming from you. And it's not that easy to shape that. I usually try to explain this with a concept that I call topical map matrix. Let me give you a simple example. Let's say these 4 fingers here represent 4 different websites, and this section here represents the query network that we want to rank for. And the query network here is about, let's say, PHP developer, this section. 4 different websites here. Let's say this one here is about actually a web, let's say, developer forum. And it can actually rank for the PHP developer because there is a connection there. And this one, let's say, is about a university which has PHP development as a branch. And this one, let's say, is a HR website for PHP developer salaries or PHP developer, let's say, job finding. And this one here at the same time, it can be about, let's say, overall PHP development and also, let's say, PHP software list or directory. So 4 different type of websites here I have. All these 4 can rank for the PHP developer. The problem here is that all these 4 websites have 4 different source type, source context, and 4 different internal links. If I brought this angle here, you will see that their internal links and their anchor texts are different. The forum website is going to be linking maybe another community internally. University website can link to the other branches. HR website can link to the other job findings. If query processing is different, if Google process PHP developer as PHP developer jobs, job website gets a prominence there. But in this case, the forum website here will need to be shaping its topical map to compete with this one in a better way, because the query has a tendency to be closer to this website. In this matrix, when you see this, what type of sources are ranking with what angle, how Google processed the query, and what type of query network and templates are existing there, from there, how you create this topical map will need to be changing. Another part is update to update, how they are ranking is different. Today, HR website might be the main provider, but next time maybe PHP development directory will be more important than your internal links, and topical maps will need to be adapting this new angle. Usually when we create it in the perfect way, we create a topical map that covers all of these possible angles so that whatever Google actually thinks about this query, you can always stay rankable. And creating this topical map in this way is not something that people can automate that easily. AI still doesn't have that angle because there is not that much data that they can be trained on for these type of purposes. First thing is they don't know how to process the query. It's even not known by ChatGPT or many other angles. You should be processing the query as Google does. From there, it gets easier. Before finishing, I can give you an example. For instance, 23rd of January, 29th of January, and 30th of January, there are sequences of Google updates that especially affects travel industry. And we have a rehab, and maybe I can say the name in a friendly way, the cabinchiangmai.com, and we increase the rankings in a good way, and they are very good, honest people in their industry, and I really like them. And in this website, for instance, one page about is the alcohol treatment in Thailand. Okay. The page there, we didn't touch the page for a year. Actually, we didn't touch it at all. The thing is, page started to rank during these updates for a query like Sister Maria treatment in the night by Eben work. We started to rank for this query, and I counted the tokens especially on purpose here. Sister Maria treatment in the night by the Eben work. There are tokens here. We started to rank for this. We don't have any of these words. We don't target this, but sometimes Google, during these relevance algorithm updates, minor updates, unannounced updates, they calculate the relevance in a different way, embedding to embedding. Since our page is about alcohol treatment in the Thailand, we are also in a way travel industry. That's why update affects us. Then embedding distances are calculated wrong by the Google, because in that page, yes, we mentioned the phrase night because alcohol usually consumed in the night. Yes, we also mentioned treatment because it's a rehab. We also mentioned the Sister Maria, not on that page, but we have a page about Mother Teresa. That's why actually we mentioned it. So technically we have two here, site embedding. Here we also have two different page embedding. And it is matching actually this query. Then we also have some different context there too, because what I mentioned here to you, this Sister Maria, etc., it's actually the name of a porn movie. And alcohol addiction treatment page also mentions the phrase sex because alcohol affects your sex life. From there, Google sees a page that is existing maybe over 10 years for the same content suddenly related to a porn movie. And it ranks us there. Funny thing is, if you check the SERP, if it is night in the USA, Google ranks porn sites. If it is daytime in the United States, they rank rehab sites. And we are one of rehabs. And rankings always goes higher and then drops, then higher even more, then drops. Because of these switches between the porn sites and the rehab sites as well. Another thing is a live example of the Now Boost. That even makes it more interesting. In terms of the Now Boost, as you know, it is about topical relevance, click data, and also page rank. Just because our alcohol treatment in Thailand page gets clicks from this porn movie name, we also started to get clicks from porn addiction for the same page, but we even don't mention it anywhere on the page. So the technically porn addiction query is ranking for actually another porn addiction page, but just because we got clicks from a porn movie, Google got this query outside of from this page and gave it to the alcohol addiction page. That click data affects relevance as well. And this is actually a good example of how Google even calculates the relevance or process the queries, and many times they do it actually wrong. And when you create these topical maps or semantic content networks, you should be ready for all these possibilities by providing right historical data with the right connections, so that through the time Google can process this semantic content network and start ranking it by trusting that. I am not against automation, but I can tell that there is not like a full automation when it comes to the semantics. You will need to use your brain a lot while doing that.
Okay. Now, so I really didn't know that the queries results change day or evening time. I thought about it's about local SEO, but never knew about this. So that's the first time for me as well.
This was a very interesting case, I can say. Still, it ranks for that porn query. Sometimes they rank other rehabs, basically. And it's also happening because the porn page, it has a scenario for the porn movie. In the scenario, it happens in a rehab. And in that rehab too, the porn movie uses every similar engram to the rehab pages. And since the embeddings are too close, Google doesn't get the difference, and it also ranks us there together with them too. So it's also an example of how sometimes ranking algorithms can be confusing as well.
Now, you have mentioned fine-tuning LLMs to align with the domain expertise as first of your 7 fundamentals. Now, have you actually fine-tuned a model for a client, and what data did you use, and what performance difference did you observe versus prompting a general?
Thank you. Until we started to use actual modules from the Hugging Face in a very detailed way, we started to actually scrape many good amount of results from the Google for different query variations. Let's say there is a query, let's say it's actually electric scooter, and you just put the plus and you put a number, you put a letter, we get all the autocompletes. For every type of autocomplete, we get the results again. And if you see that some websites are outranking some other websites, then we run a statistical module on that, which means we try to understand statistically what type of sentences with what type of sentimentality, tonality, or language structure they are using and why they are ranking higher. When we see that actually what type of statistics we have there, we try to configure our content according to basically their data and their facts and their consensus, while also trying to use our algorithmic authorship rules for adjusting the sentence structure so that Google can extract every fact that we have in a better way too. It's that type of a structure, and yes, we did this actually for this 2020 until to the 2022 type of full AI generated websites, and it worked really well.
Okay, now let's move to our next topic, which is semantic SEO for AI search engine, which is, of course, we are going into AI.
Yeah.
So now, my first question is, you predicted many SEO agencies would face bankruptcy due to AI advancement, and we are now in 2026. Has this prediction materialized, and which type of agencies have you seen fall, and which type of SEO agencies you are seeing thrive?
One sec. There's an unnecessary phone call, that's why. So one thing there is actually, I can say, when it comes to the AI search engine optimization, it still actually uses the same logic with the document ranking technically. Because without ranking your document in the index, you won't be able to rank actually your passages. If you are not able to rank your passages, you won't be able to actually generate, or you won't be able to cite it by AI for the generated passages as well. So document ranking, passage ranking, and passage generation, they are actually working together at the same time. And that's why what people call as a traditional search engine is highly actually connected to the AI results as well. When it comes to the failure section, I can tell that actually on that part, I believe the majority of the SEO agencies, they are still doing things like in 2012, 13, or the 14. They didn't adapt actually majority of these changes as it should be. And due to that reason, I believe every year, the number of people actually who do the SEO a little bit going down, in my opinion, or number of, let's say number of independent marketers or number of independent SEOs also going a little bit actually lower too. Even if there are new SEO job advertisements, that's true that actually as an industry size, it might be growing there. But in terms of the competence or in terms of the, let's say, successful independent agency stats, I believe it's always going to be more centralized from now on. Because being, let's say, independent agency today, by announcing your name and creating successes, if you are not doing it in the right way, it's going to be getting way much harder for everybody. And from the AI point of view too, if you just do SEO for, let's say, ChatGPT, you can manage to do it with lots of actually, or let me explain this way. There is a concept that we call actually document statistics. If you see that ChatGPT is citing, let's say we try to target best rehab Thailand, and Google or also ChatGPT is citing 10,000 different URLs. If you're able to manage these 10,000 different pages, mention you in the way that you want to be mentioned, then yes, you can actually manipulate the results. But this is actually something that we call just years ago as we call consensus or surround sound. Because in the topical authority methodology too, we are trying to create a consensus about actually the entities that we are defining. If you control the consensus with your either social media posts or with either your let's say, third-party sources, that will be helpful for you to control the AI answers as well. We usually call this illusion of choice. When you search for the best VPN, you don't get the best VPN as the answer. You get the VPN that is mentioned most in these URLs, basically. So manipulating this is not that easy. We have a case from, let's say, earlier, for a lady. She was a dentist and she was being slandered by the ex-husband. And she was being mentioned as the ex-wife of somebody on the Google. And we wanted to create a new knowledge panel, and we wanted to change the Google results for the lady by publishing new documents. And we managed to define her as a dentist and as an artist and as a mother rather than ex-wife. And to be able to do that, you need to publish really good amount of documents in a convincing way for the search engines or for the AI models. And I believe the agencies today, they won't be able to do it that much. For instance, in Chiang Mai this year, there were a few speeches that actually they were using our concepts. One of them was funny to me because the person was mentioning actually triples, and the person was saying that if you say something like this, X is Y, and he was saying that you should be repeating it everywhere. The thing is that it's actually like, I don't know, like 7 years old actually information. Nothing there is actually new, and it's too outdated. It was something actually we were doing literally 7 years ago to convince the search engines. Today, you need to way much more different complex sentence structures than that. And that's what I mean actually with these failures. The trust will be centralized in this industry for some actually, let's say, sections. Even if the number of SEOs are going higher, it is because industry is going bigger. But in terms of the number of independent, good number of agencies, I believe that number will be going down due to the not updating yourself or updating your workflow most of the time.
Now, your cost of retrieval concept, making content easier for search engines to process, seems more relevant for AI systems that need to retrieve site information. So have you tested whether site optimized for traditional semantic SEO gets more frequently cited in AI or LLMs?
There are a few things there. The first thing is, I believe cost of retrieval might be the most important concept that I created, even more important than actual topical authority, because when we mentioned the cost of retrieval, I mentioned it 2 years after the actual topical authority, because even topical authority was too confusing for people. I didn't want to add it to the formula directly. When I explain it, I said people directly this: if you want to rank on the eyes of Google, you have to be cheap with higher quality. It's not about being more quality. It is about being cheaper for them to understand your content. The same thing also happens for, of course, AI even heavier, because in AI, for instance, when you search something on Google, you press the enter and Google's job there ended. In AI, it's not like that. You keep typing, you keep asking, you keep actually talking and creating computational resources from them a lot and a lot and a lot. That's why the cost there actually becomes more important. And that's the reason I believe they are trying to use their own internalized index without checking other search engines or the web. Because if they use their own internal index, it gets cheaper for them. And in terms of these traditional, let's say, semantic SEO or semantic SEO for the AI, there are usually two types of sections there. The first thing is that the ranking algorithms, they can be encapsulated in a very simple way. It means Q to P or P to Q, which means actually, or we can also tell that actually D as well. It means query to document, document to query. Google basically tries to match group of queries to the group of documents. When it comes to the AI, it tries to match certain type of questions to the certain type of passages. But these two processes are actually connected to each other. The main issue here is that the semantic distance becomes really important when it comes to the AI search engines, which means for every small question differences, you can't keep writing a single simple different passage. Let's say I ask a very silly question: what is the best what is the best personal loan for a person who is older than 40 years old, retired veteran, and has cancer, and 2 times divorced? You can ask this AI, by the way, today. Google wouldn't be actually giving you that much answer for this. Google would be just taking the most important terms in your query, and it will be actually just a personal loan for either retired people or either personal loan for veterans. according to the weight of the term, they will choose one of these index. Either they will be blending the index, or either they will be ranking one of these index for you. When it comes to the AI capacity or AI overviews or AI section there, they should be actually checking all these mini indexes for your co-occurrences, like personal loan for veteran, personal loan for retired people, personal loan for seniors, personal loan for divorced people, personal loan for 2 times divorced people, personal loan for people with cancer or people with deadly diseases. There are like nearly 7-8 different actually indexes that you will need to check. And if you check these 7-8 different indices, if there are some documents or the web sources that rank for most of them, they will be choosing the most central answers from these as well. And if there is no answer specifically for this question, they will be choosing the closest one as much as possible. The main thing here is that in semantic SEO, we always try to consolidate the ranking signals, which means we can't keep opening millions of pages for every age of veteran or for every number of divorces. We have to centralize the context. That's why sometimes we open 2 different domains. One of them actually becomes our main money site, which actually decreases the cost of retrieval a lot. The second domain is a kind of exact match domain, and there we just actually publish millions of content, but we don't care about actually its rankings on Google. We just care about semantic closeness. If we are able to match from certain paragraph the certain questions in the ChatGPT or somewhere, that passage can rank for that question or that group of questions. We don't care about whether it gets traffic from Google or somewhere. If it is indexed by Google, that's good enough for us. The rest is just for ChatGPT. Another thing is, if I have a web page here, imagine the page here is until this point, it is actually for directly Google and Google-like systems. This section here, I can use actually no index data snippet in the HTML. And I can tell Google that no index this section. And I can use this section only for ChatGPT like LLMs, for instance, because Google doesn't give that much weight for this section. Another methodology is, if this is, let's say, my website, let's say I have 2 different subfolders. This is for actually my regular systems. This one here, let's say, is a subfolder. And I just disallow this to the Googlebot, but I keep it open to all these different type of LLMs or others. So we use different type of separation methodologies according to the importance of these queries. For instance, car accident attorney for Filipinos. There is not that much demand for it. It doesn't make sense either. But when you open an exact match domain for car accident attorney for Filipino victims, then actually you get appearance in the AI overviews or ChatGPT. And if a Filipino literally searches for that, you get the lead. But I wouldn't make it a new page in my topical map or in my regular site. So we use different sources for different methods most of the time.
So you recommend, if it comes to like this, it's better to create an exact match domain rather than doing it on your own.
Be helpful. And we also call these secondary domains usually wasteful domain, which means we add lots of waste in it, and we just expect LLM to be fed or to be fed with this data to actually use its also own answers as well. And usually our real websites and wasteful domains, they are 2 different systems that actually we implement, or 2 different type of ranking models in that area.
Okay, so it's not that this second domain gets penalized or something, it just lives separately.
We don't care. Even if it gets penalized by Google, still we wouldn't care, because our purpose there is not Google. It's actually LLM. For cloud or different type of LLMs and feeding their data as much as possible. And again, we use heavily actually social media platforms or social media related sections as well, because when we use social media content, it even actually affects LLMs faster. Let's say I'm publishing lots of podcasts. I add them to the IMDb. Then to the IMDb, I can add my podcast transcripts, and ChatGPT trusts IMDb a lot. So when I add my podcast and transcript to the IMDb, I'm able to affect the answers in a really good way, basically.
Okay. Now, we're running short of time, so I'm just gonna go a little faster. You are tending to be one of my longest podcasts now.
Thank you.
Right. So now, so Let's talk a little bit about technical deep dive patents and implementations. Now, beyond commonly cited patents, which specific Google patent from the last 3 years has most changed your practical approach? Now, can you walk me through what it describes and how you implemented insights?
Of course, like let's say Stephen the Baker, for instance, he has a patent for candidate passage scoring is the
Right.
patent. And there, for instance, he mentions that if the question and the answer has 3 grams in common, it increases the relevance. And I do the same thing. I just actually at least keep some of the 3 grams same. If you search for how to meet, let's say, seniors over 60 years old, my answer also starts like to meet seniors over 60 years old. The funny thing is that this is one of my algorithmic authorship rules, and this is exactly how the LLMs talk. That was funny to me, Albert, actually, after years seeing that. Another one can be, for instance, Google has something that they call sentence boundary annotation. This is existing in API leak, also existing in the patents. Sentence boundary means that sentences should be ending with a dot. I never end sentences with colon, for instance. I always do that. Another one is that preferential ordeal terms concept comes from Google patents. It means if you say something like this, firstly, you should be doing this. If you say something like firstly, there should be also secondly, and the thirdly, and the finally. You should be using these as actually in an order so that actually Google can catch these things for extracting purposes. Yeah. If your first sentence of the document doesn't exceed the relevance threshold, they won't be checking the rest of the content. It is also from their patents. That's why usually in my first 2 sentences are very rich in terms of number of predicates, adjectives, or especially numbers that I am using. I always put my declaration first, my condition last in the sentences, for instance. All these are coming from the patents, and there are many other things too. Because this year we will publish one more course, actually. Maybe can be delayed a little bit, but it will be about mainly actually algorithmic authorship, I can say.
Okay, now entity attributes value relationship you said are central to your approach. So when you audit a website, what specific signals tells you that their entity associations are weak versus strong, and what does poor entity optimization actually looks like in a crawl data?
The first thing is if they put the entities there just for putting, that will be bad because it means entity stuffing. So keyword stuffing should be replaced by entity stuffing. The second thing is that there is a concept in semantics called strongly connected component. While giving different facts, you should be changing directions of the relations. Like, let's say I'm saying something like this. This was an example in one of my speeches too. Financial independence is achieved by families with the help of financial advisors. This is one declaration. Then financial advisors help families to achieve financial independence. I say the same thing with 2 different directions, but all the relevances here will be calculated different. Whatever word I put into the first section by making it the subject in a triple, it means it is increasing actually its value or its prominence there. The thing is, to have a strongly connected component, you need to connect A to B, B to C, C to A. While doing this, you always need to give a different information. Because if you don't give different information, you will increase only gibberish score. You shouldn't repeat the same fact with different order of the words. You should be giving a different information while actually using similar entities with a relation. When I don't see these relations are not existing in the content, I basically say that it is weak. If you check some of my GPTs, it is just about fact extraction. Let's say I use 2 different documents for the same agent. And I say, compare the facts from the first document to the second one and tell me which one has more facts and tell me which one of these facts are more important compared to the others and why. And from there, even actually, I can see what type of informational gaps they have. And of course, another thing is about also visual semantics that will be explained even this year, because it's also about how you lay out the page. Since Google already is a little bit advancing in the semantics when it comes to the text, they also check the visual understanding of the page too. It's also about placing the textual snippets into the right places with the right engagement components as well, which is an extra section there. So sentence level examination, segment level examination there will be a good approach to compare documents to each other to see weaknesses in them.
Okay. Now, you've been criticized for content that's too complex and difficult to follow. You have dismissed this as not wanting to meet populist demand. But has, but has any criticism ever made you genuinely reconsider your approach or communication style?
That's true. I actually did that already, because in my YouTube channel, for instance, we have a blue hat series, and there actually I give only three unique suggestions that we didn't give before. We share the website, and then we basically say them that do this, and do this, and I don't add even more from there. But I also say explicitly in the beginning of video, if you see this blue hat in these videos, it actually means that this is an opportunist case study, which means just take a few information and move on with that. When you do mass communication, you need to create multiple products for different mindsets. Right. Blue hat videos, for instance, are for people who like quick things, and the advanced holistic SEO case studies are for the people who like advanced deep work, basically. So I try to differentiate that communication line as much as possible. And I also incentivize some of our community members to share their own case study with some simple language, so actually they can also learn from them. But in my defense, I also need to say that sometimes I explain something in a very short way, then somebody says, can you make it more detailed? Then I explain it in the detail, then another person says, can't you make it shorter? So it's very hard to do that balance in the mass communication, I can say.
So have you ever considered building a software around what you teach? Because there are low value of SaaS things, wouldn't that be easy?
People already did that, actually. They got all of my podcasts, all of my case studies, all of my tweets into a data set. They created a Koray bot, and they use it actually for talking with me through the AI already. And I like it, actually. And usually when I read it, actually, it literally talks like me. It's very close to. Yeah, it's really. There are some successful Koray bots there, I can say.
Okay, because I think it's gonna be a good if you have a SaaS product where you charge monthly fees for doing all of these things, where people just put their site, and with AI, I think in a couple of years maybe you will have, because with the advancement of AI.
After testing it carefully, it might be, because it's also a huge responsibility, because since I can't control what it says, but it might be in a tested way, it can work.
Okay. With that, we came to the last section, which is a rapid fire round and quick answers, whatever comes in your mind first. So I'll start. Best SEO advice that's actually wrong.
The best SEO advice that is actually
Wrong.
Not wrong. Okay. I believe the one recently I see that it was making me very angry. A few guys, actually, well-known people, I don't know why they are saying it. They are saying that cannibalization don't matter anymore, they say. So because they say that if you open too many pages, Google will be understanding many intent differences here, and they will always rank the right page, even if the query phrases are too close to each other. And I believe this is bullshit. Cannibalization is a reality, and it's not going to be working that way. Just for ranking AI, do not open millions of pages. That's why we separated domains, as I explained. Wasteful domain is for the waste, okay? But when it comes to your real domain, manage it in a proper way. So cannibalization is still a real thing. Don't think that actually it is okay to cannibalize things by trusting capacity of AI. I just explained here we are ranking for a porn movie, even if we don't mention anything yet, okay? Don't trust Google that they are smart. It's not a smart algorithm that much as you expect. This will be there.
Right. And with they putting more of their CPU cost towards Gemini, I think right now it's not smart at all.
Of course, they don't want to actually crawl garbage, of course. I mean, you should always make everything useful for them. And do not expect AI to differentiate your mini word differences for ranking purposes. You should be more serious than that.
Right. Biggest waste of time in modern SEO?
I believe that people care about URLs a lot. Like I'm, for instance, I don't do any meta description writing, or I didn't write meta descriptions for years, by the way. I just leave it to Google. And the same thing also for URL structures. So when I take a website, if a URL is already ranking and old, I don't change the URL. I don't care. URL is part of the content, of course. It is important, but it's not that important. You don't have to change entire URL structure and then create a massive de-indexation and re-indexation and massive migration. So I believe that's taking too much energy for that minimum gaining. I wouldn't do that, actually. I wouldn't call it fully waste of time, but it's not a priority, and people usually give too much priority to that, I can say.
But recent talk has been if you put ears in your URL, it tends to rank better in LLMs. I mean, people have been doing all those sort of theories recently.
What you should be putting the URL? EA?
Year. So if I put 2026 in my URL, I will get better citation in LLMs.
To the URL, but not to the content. Let's say that. I mean, the one thing there is, as a comment, maybe I can say, URL is the first thing that every crawler sees. Before they see your content, they actually see your URL. If you have a signifier in terms of freshness in your URL, they can try to prioritize that URL by hoping to find a fresh info. Theory makes sense. I didn't test, so I can't say directly that. But again, from overall SEO point of view, I wouldn't change. Let's say you're taking, let's say, an e-com site with 20,000 products. I don't want to change URLs there based on taxonomy of something. It's not needed that much.
Now, one tool you couldn't live without.
One thing that I couldn't live without.
One tool.
Brain, of course. I always say that brain is the most important tool.
Okay.
But besides that, for SEO purposes, I never promote any tool as long as I'm able to get actually search demand slightly accurately, and also number of the queries and maybe some link data of the URLs. I'm actually good. Anything that actually provides these to me in a very fast way, I'm happy to actually continue with them. But besides that, I'm not that much tool dependent, actually, I can say. I also, my team too, they don't use that many tools. But if I may actually maybe suggest a few tools that are good, Infranodus is a good tool. It deserves more recognition for semantics especially. And also there is a search engine called consensus.app, which is very good for actually finding very unique researches with high citations. And you can insert lots of researches to your content to increase expertise and also the information richness there. These two would be good suggestions, I believe.
Okay. And very last question. What would you be doing if SEO didn't exist?
Yeah, how I started SEO was very interesting. You know that story, by the way? I was actually at the gym, and one of my friends came to me and said that, hey, I started something called SEO. And when I heard it for the first time, I thought SEO is a chemical formula, like H2O, you know, like hydrogen, oxygen. I thought, okay, I have the oxygen, but what is the S?
SEO, right?
Another element or something. I was thinking, what is this? And I thought that my friend became drug dealer because he was drugs. I was thinking, probably, if I wouldn't be doing it, probably I would be possibly being in the construction industry, because it is very rewarding for hardworking people. That would be one of my choices. But if I know myself, because I am thinking about construction when I'm 32 right now, if I know myself back then, I will definitely be in the army with a high rank, I can say.
Okay. With that, we came to the end of our show, and this has been the Agency Insider Show. Koray Tugberk Gubur, thank you for going deeper than any of the interviewer has gone before, and thank you for giving me almost 1.5 hours.
Thank you. And it was also one of my best podcasts, actually. I'm really happy to hear your very detailed questions. It's a really unique experience for me too. Thank you.
Yeah, I purposely avoided asking a cliche question, what is topical SEO and authority? I purposely stayed away from that.
It was a great experience, really, because there is a really good background work here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And to our listeners, if this conversation sparked ideas, challenged assumptions, or made you uncomfortable about your current SEO strategies, good. That's the point. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, stay rigorous, and don't believe everything Google tells you. Thank you.